So let's start with a simple problem. And the problem is calculate the sum of five numbers that are entered by the user. Okay. So if you had to write a program, a sequential program for this, how would it look like? Okay. How would you program this? So obviously these are five numbers. So and these are entered by the user. So you'll have to use the input statement, right? So it would be something like this. You need five numbers. So you need five variables to store these five numbers, right? So it would be something like a equals int input and like enter the first number, enter enter a number, right? B equals int input, and for brevity I'm not typing anything right inside this input. So let's assume that you will either say something that enter a number, or you will say print enter five numbers in here. Okay, so the next statement would be C equals int input, right? D equals int input, int input, and E equals int input, right? So this is how you input five numbers from the user. The next thing you do is simply print, and then you can say the sum is, but essentially you would print A plus B plus C plus D plus E, right? That's how you would write a program that calculates the sum of five numbers, these five numbers that were entered by the user. Okay, so the idea is you take the numbers one by one and you store them inside variables, right? One variable for each number. And then at the end, you just add these variables together and then print it, right? Now, what happens if we have not five numbers, but 100 numbers? Okay, how do we write a program that calculates the sum of 100 numbers entered by the user? Okay, so obviously, again, just like before, we would need, instead of five, we need 100 variables, right? So something like this. A, B, C, D won't work anymore. So let's call N1, N2, right? Let's call the variables N1, N2, and so on and so forth. So um, N1 equals int input, right? N2 equals int input, right? You can see where I'm going with this, right? N3 equals int input, right? And you go on, right? On and on until you get to N100 equals int input, right? And at the end, you say print the sum is n1 plus n2 plus n3 plus go on and on, right? Plus n100. Now again, you cannot just do dot dots, right? You have to actually type in n1, n2, n3, n4, n5 all the way through n100, right? You have to type all these, right? You have to type all these into the Replit IDE or whatever, right? You also have to type all these in. You have to type all these in, right? Like physically type. You cannot just say dot dot and the computer will understand, right? So the idea is, given a large set of numbers, how do we do this, right? How do we calculate the sum? Okay, so as you can I guess sort of guess that this is not the correct way to do this, right? There is a better way, and this module is all about learning that better way. Okay,